Hello and welcome to the beginning of the sign of the zodiac called Scorpio. And when we think about this time of the year, the latter part of October, if you're living in a country in the same latitude as England, then it becomes ever so obvious that this time of year is all about death. And there is the card for Scorpio. Yes, it's a death card. It's one of the two cards that tends to intimidate people in the tarot deck. So let's really deconstruct this one. So the most obvious thing to say is that, yeah, this time of the year, it really is death. That's what autumn is all about. It's when plants die off. It's when the leaves fall off the trees. And the leaf falling off the tree is perhaps the most perfect metaphor to understand Scorpio and this time of year, because that's what letting go is about. The tree lets go of the leaves that fall into the ground. And if we take it further, what happens to those leaves that have fallen on the ground is that they eventually become incorporated into the soil. They get eaten by insects, worms and other creatures drawn into the soil, and they rot, they decay, they digest, and that becomes minerals, which is what feeds the plants. So it's a really good analogy for what's going on with the death card of Scorpio. There are three keywords for Scorpio, and they are sex, death and transformation. So this is the card that embodies all the taboos in the nature of human being. If you look at society, certainly the Western society, death and sex and transformation are still very much taboos in their own ways. And we look at the images on this card and we can see how the three evolutionary states of Scorpio are honoured, because on the bottom right we've got the scorpion, and this is that aspect of Scorpio that when the scorpion is attacked, when the Scorpio person is attacked, the impulse is to lash out, to sting, to strike back, and the concept of the best form of defence is attack. That's where all that comes from. Another form of the energy of Scorpio is the serpent, which you can see at the bottom left, and that's when the energy has evolved beyond the point of necessarily wanting to strike out all the time, and yet is still very much immersed in seeing life from the perspective of the serpent being on the ground and seeing things being done. And then when we look at the image on the very far top left, which is just behind the helmet that the death character is wearing, that's the eagle. An eagle represents a Scorpio who's actually transformed themselves, that they are no longer the victims of their powerful emotions. And powerful emotions and strong feelings are very much part of the Scorpio quality. So when the Scorpio embodies the eagle, they are able to work in service to the spirit, in service to other people, and see the big picture, no longer so bothered about their own dramas. And they don't get caught up in the dramas of other people either. And then we can see the scythe itself, the way the point of the scythe actually, it digs down into the mud of the river, and what happens is you've literally got these spirits, these beings, these souls being released. So the idea is that what Scorpio does is Scorpio goes deep into the unknown, into the unconscious, and exposes the hidden, the dark, the difficult aspects that people tend to hide. And by bringing the light to those aspects are being able to be transformed, which we get in soul retrieval and shamanism. So that's an overview of this very powerful card and this powerful time of year. So now let's move into the first of the three decanates. This is the first 10 days of Scorpio, and here it is. It's a 5 of Cups. It's disappointment. And the picture tells the whole story. You notice, although there is a lovely rich orange at the top of the card, the colours below are really quite sombre. There's generally quite a sombre feel to the card. And then we take our attention to the cups, and we notice that these cups are empty. And this is what disappointment's about. We've moved out of Libra, which was all about swords and the mind, and we're now very much in the realms of the heart and the feelings. So disappointment represents an imbalance in the emotions on the side of what we call severity in the tree of life. So severe experiences, challenges, these are what give rise to disappointment. The classic one is what I call the thwarted intention. There's a particular training called Landmark Education. They take people through 3 forms of upsets that can occur in a human being, and the very first one and the most significant of all is thwarted intention. And that's what disappointment's about, is when you have an intention that something's going to happen, it doesn't happen, or it doesn't happen the way you intend it to, and then the person goes into that state of feeling disappointed. That's the cup's empty. And you notice the two flowers in the centre of the card, the way the petals are falling off, it all helps to amplify the sense of disappointment, the slight bleakness of the overall tenor of this card. Disappointment, something that we all experience in life, and it's hard to see how this is useful to us, and yet it is, because what disappointment does is it enables us, first of all, to realise we've slipped out of balance, and this is to do with the fact that we're no longer going with the flow in life. We've actually got to the point where we have this feeling we want things to be a certain way. So the opportunity and the invitation, going back to the death card, death is always about letting go. So the letting go of this disappointment is what enables us to transform this card. And so this is the one we're going to use. It's called 46. And you see the colours there, the green and the magenta, which together give you the deep jade green in combination. Placing your glass with the water on the card, on the colours, and charging it using the formula that we have in film number 1. And those are the words, and then we turn the card over, and this is what we get. And this is the Wanderer. The Wanderer, the Five of Cups. I am open to feel the overflowing of the fountain in the garden of my heart. I'm open to feel the overflowing of the fountain in the garden of my heart. I'm open to feel the overflowing of the fountain in the garden of my heart. And when we tune into this image, we can see that the Wanderer is just taking a glance back at those that he's stepping away from, and he's got his path to travel, and there's obviously the water which is coming up quite shortly, and there's a pavilion and two other characters holding cups in the distance. So it's the idea of the situation every nomad finds themselves in, every wanderer, every nomad finds themselves in a situation frequently, endlessly, of saying goodbye to some people or to a place, and setting out on your travels and walking or travelling to the next place, and whatever experiences are going to come to you there. So the wanderer, the nomad. Let's look at some key things about the nomad and the wanderer. The first thing to say is that here is attention to details reveals the truth in the simplicity, and that's what happens if you let go of all of your possessions to the extent which you are now able to travel, when you're down to a car or a rucksack or a bag or whatever it happens to be. You've stripped yourself of the vast majority of your possessions, which means you feel so much lighter. And this is one of the qualities of the wanderer, the fact he's light and he's far more free. So the attention to detail revealing a truth in the simplicity of not being encumbered by loads of stuff. And the carryingness is given the space to expand. This is letting go of what is behind us to come into the moment, enabling us to see or to feel something which is in front of us, which holds the promise that lies within our heart. And that's exactly what you see in this card. And this is the reason why the key characters, the wanderer himself, the people in the bottom left that he's leaving behind, and the people in the distance on the top right, all in this pink colour relating to the quality of love. And this is what this opportunity gives us whenever we step out of any situation, where we let go of that disappointment into what is and into what may become. That's what we're able to do. It's the possibility of having the direction and the trust to find the love within ourselves. And as all travellers, wanderers and nomads know, to feel at home wherever we are. And I would say that's the greatest gift I've received in my life from having had considerable experience of being a wanderer, being a nomad, is that. It's that sense of feeling at home wherever we are, which is why this was expressed in the old view, old days terminology, which is home is wherever I hang my hat. Most people don't wear hats anymore, so home is wherever I happen to be. And it's a really helpful approach. So this is how we transform disappointment into the wanderer. And I thank you very much, and I'll see you again for the next one, which will be the Six of Cups. Bye for now.